Over the past few years, the internet has seen an explosion of over 1.83 billion websites and more than 4 million mobile applications. But who do you think crafts the visual and interactive elements of all these websites and apps? Well, it's people like you and I. And you'd probably know the significance of Figma in the UX industry. It's like a digital sketchbook where designers bring their creative visions to life and refine the user experience. But at the same time, mastering Figma can be challenging due to its wide range of tools and options, and that's why we are here today. In this tutorial, I'll help you with Figma intricacies and introduce you to 10 easy UI animations to enhance your skills. These animations can be applied to real-world projects, whether it's for a website, mobile app, or any digital creation you have in mind. So if you're ready, let's get started. Let's start with the first animation. Let's start with a simple button animation. So here I have a simple button that I have already made. It's nothing but a rectangle with a filled background and a text, and I have grouped both of them. Now I'll be adding a few more things to it, and I would also need a mask. So to avoid the mask, what I would do is I would just convert this group into a frame and include clip content. I will check clip content so that it does the work of a mask. That's it. I have this one ready. I will just keep this aside here and make a copy and just start working here. I'll reuse this later sometime. So here I have, this is one. And I'll make a copy of this, and here I'm going to make the hover state of it. So in the hover state, what I'll do is I will draw a circle. I will draw a circle and bring it right behind the text and the background color. And I will make the circle really big. And the color of the circle, I would first pick the same color blue, which I have it in the normal or the default state. And I will make the color slightly light. That's it. And now what I'll do is, this is my normal state, this is the hover state. I'll copy the same circle and bring it back to the normal state or the default state and make it really small. So when it is around, say 20 or 16 pixels wide, I'm going to leave it like that and change the opacity of it to 0. So when you look at it, there's nothing in the hover state. You have the circle big, right? Simple. Now I'll select both of them and click on this drop down here on the components icon at the top, and I will select create component set. Make sure you don't click on this one, otherwise it's going to create one component with both the elements inside. We don't want that. We want a component set where each one of these is a state of the same component. So let's click on component set. This is my component. I'm going to name it 1 because we're going to do 10 animations. This is my default state and this is my hover state. Now we'll just head over to the prototype menu, click on this and add an interaction on that. I've selected the default one, click on interactions, and I will change this on click to while hovering. And in the action, I will say change to. It's change to because we are changing states to frame 3. This is nothing but my frame 3, and the animation will be smart animate. Ease out is good enough. I'll leave the default and I'll set a duration of 200 milliseconds and I will just close it. That's it. I think we should be done for now. So now to see the preview of the animation which we have just made, I will create one instance of this component here, which is nothing but a child. To do that, I can press and hold Option and drag and bring this thing out here. And in this preview, I can just go ahead and hit this present button and I have it here. Now, if I go ahead and hover on it, you see it's already working. Let's quickly move on to the second animation. This is also a button animation, but slightly more interesting than the previous one. So here I have a button which is already ready. This time I haven't used a frame because I don't need the masking capability this time because the style I'm adopting is slightly different. So I just have one rectangle, which is nothing but the blue background, and a text which is start on top of it. Now what I'll do is, this rectangle, I'm going to make it 2 more copies. So I'm just going to call it first one as top. I'll hit Command D, and the second one I'll call it middle, and I'll hit Command D once again, and the last one I'm going to call it bottom. And now I'm going to make some changes to the middle and the bottom and the top, the styling, of course. To see how they are, I'm going to just bring them slightly down so that I see what is happening. So the top one, I'm going to give it a slight yellowish white color, somewhere around this is the kind of color that I want to give it to. And I will change the text of start to black. Let's use perfect black out here. And I will also give it a stroke. I'll give it a stroke of black, and I'll use some appropriate thickness. In my case, it's 2 pixels. And now this is the middle one. For the middle one also, I will add a stroke of 2 pixels and black. And for the fill of this, I will use a color which is yellow. I'll pick a shade of yellow. You can play around with it and pick some shade of yellow that you like. And for the third one, I will do the same thing, but this one, I will make it orange. Again, 2 pixels of black outline, and I will give it a shade of orange. So I just feel that this off-white to yellow to orange gradation works really well. And now that we have filled in the colors, I'm going to bring them back to where they were. That is one behind the other. So we have top, middle, and the bottom. And here we have start. Now this is the default one. I'll name it default. And I will make a copy of this whole thing, and I'm going to call it hover. So I'm not going to touch the start text and the top rectangle at all. I'm just going to move the middle and the bottom. So I will first select the middle and the bottom both, and I will move it 8 pixels to the right and 8 pixels to the bottom. Now I'm going to select only the bottom one, and I'm going to move it further 8 pixels to the right and further 8 pixels to the bottom. So yes, this is my hover state. And now I'm going to select both of these, and I'm going to hit the drop down again and create a component set. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing that I had done previously. I'll go to the prototype mode, select the default one and add an interaction. And instead of on click, I'll call it while hovering. And for the action, I will say change it to hover. And again, I'll change it to smart animate. 200 millisecond, I will leave the default ease out animation. That's it. I'll take an instance of this button and put it on the preview panel right here and hit the preview button. And let's see, it should work if everything is fine. So when I hover on the start, you see, yes, those two things are popping up whenever you are hovering. Now let's quickly move on to the third animation, which is also a button one, but this is slightly more complicated than the previous. Don't worry, we are starting with simple. We'll go and do some more interesting stuff later on the video. So here I have a button very similar to the button that we had used in the previous one. So I don't need the middle and the bottom layers out here. I will just remove them. And for the top, I will just call it background. Now one change out here. In the previous one, we had added outline on Figma itself, that is stroke on Figma itself. Right now, we will not use this, and we will manually create the strokes. Why? You will get to know in a while. So I'm going to remove this stroke out here, which were 2 pixels wide. I'm going to remove them, and I will use the rectangle tool to create 2 pixels wide strokes like this. And I'm going to give it a color black. And for all 4 sides, I will be using 4 rectangles like this. So I made the one on the left, and I will make one at the bottom, and then one on the top and one on the right. I'll quickly go ahead and make them. Once you made it for 2 sides, you can just copy them and put them on the other sides respectively. So here I make a copy of the left one and place it on the right. I'll make a copy of the bottom one and place it at the top. Here it is. So this is the default state which I have, and now I'm going to make a copy of this and bring it down here, and I'm going to call it hover. Now in the default one, I'll make one change. I will change the fill color to yellow, the second yellow that I had used in the previous one. So I will select this and I will pick the color from it, and now it is yellow. And now we are going to make some changes to it, which is in the default state, the strokes won't be present, and when you hover, the stroke starts appearing. That's the effect that I'm trying to emulate. It's pretty similar to the trim path that you have in After Effects, but you don't have trim path on Figma, so we are trying to emulate this using the manually created strokes. So I want the strokes to originate from 2 points, the top left and the bottom right. And to do that, all that we need to do in the default state is reduce these rectangles in width and height, as the case may be. When I do, you will see what it is. So I'll reduce the length of this one and put it all the way to the extreme left corner in this 2x2 square, right? I will do the same for this left one as well. I will reduce the height and stack it all the way to the top like this. Similarly, I'll do for the bottom and the right as well. And since I want it to originate from the right, I will make it all small and I'll put it here. And similarly for the right one as well, I will make it small and I will land them here. Now, all we have here is one black dot and another black dot, or rather square. And to get away with these, what I'll do is there's a simple hack. I will fill the color of this to yellow, and I will also fill the color of this to yellow. All right, now we have our default and hover states. I'm going to select both of them and click on this drop down here and create a component set. And just like before, we'll go to prototype mode, select the default one and click on interactions, and on hovering, we'll do a change to hover state. Again, the animation will be smart animate. I will give it a duration of 200 milliseconds and the default easing of ease out is good enough. And now I'll again create an instance or child of this newly created component on this preview panel, and I will keep it here and I will hit the preview once again and it should work. Let's see. I'll hover on this third button. You see what's happening? Yes, this is exactly the effect that we wanted, where the strokes are originating from the top left and the bottom right corners respectively. All right, let's step up things a bit. Let's go to the fourth animation, and this time we are going to do a small heart animation, not exactly like the one you have on Twitter, but a simpler version of that. If you want to learn to animate exactly how it happens on Twitter, then I'll leave the link in the description. I have an After Effects video tutorial which teaches you exactly the same, but in Figma we'll keep things a little simpler. Let's go ahead and do it. First things first, we need to create a heart. Now, how do you create a heart? It's very simple. Let me teach you. Just draw a small rectangle like this and then double click on it and round the corners of any of the two sides like this. I'm going to take the right ones and I'm going to make it I'm going to add a radius so that it's fully round. And now I'm going to make a copy of this and rotate it by 90 degrees. And I will place it right here. You see what's happening? So now I'll group both of them and I'm going to rotate the entire group by 45 degrees, and now you have a heart. So that's exactly how we are going to do it. So I'm going to select both these rectangles and hit union at the top, and I'm also going to flatten the selection so that it's one single shape. That's easier to work. So I'm going to flatten the selection that way, and now we have a nice looking heart out there. So simple. And when I click on it, you'll see the dimensions, and I will click on this constraint proportions here, and I will set a width which is easier to remember that way. I'm going to call it 80 and let the height adjust accordingly. So there I have one heart, and I'm going to add a fill and stroke to it. I'm going to give it a white fill and a black stroke with maybe around 4 pixels. Yeah, 4 pixels sounds good, I guess. Yeah, let me also give it a bit of corner radius so that just like that. So there I have it. And now I'm going to create a frame around it, right? I'll first start by creating a group. That is, I will select the heart and I'll hit Command G. So a group is created, and now I'll convert it into a frame. Now, why am I creating a frame? So that the multiple variants that I make inside the component are all of the same size, because I'm going to increase the size of the heart alone. The container size needs to be consistent, right? So there it is. The width of the entire frame is also 80, but I want to increase it a bit. So I'm going to hold Command and Option on my keyboard and drag it from one side until the width is around 110. I think 110 is good enough. I will do something similar for the top as well. I'll again hold Command and Option on my keyboard and use a mouse in either top or bottom, and I'm going to make it around maybe 93 is good enough. That's for me. It depends on what size of a heart that you make. All right, so this is mine. I'm going to call it default, right? I'm going to call it default. Now I'll make 4 copies of this one. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now in the second one, I'm going to give it a fill of which is around pink red color, say something along this, and I will use the same color for the stroke as well. Okay, so here it is. And for the third one is going to be exactly same as the second one for now. So I'm going to select this heart, do a Command Option C, and select the third heart and do a Command Option V. That way I'm copying and pasting all the properties. Right now we have fixed the colors. The fourth one can continue to be white with a black outline. Now we will play around with the sizes. Now the second one, I want the size to be slightly bigger. This fill heart, I want it to be slightly bigger. Remember, the width of this was 80 by default. I'm going to make it around, let's try 100. Let's try 100. So this is 100. And for the default one, for the third one, it can continue to be in the same size what it is, which was 80 as the width. And now the last one, the fourth one, I'm going to reduce the size. It was 80. I'm going to make it around maybe 70. Yeah, let's make it 70 and keep it that way, right? I'm going to just give them some name so that, all of them are not default. It just creates confusion for the designer itself. So the first one can be, let's call it off default. The second one is maybe transition on. The third one is on default. And the fourth one is transition off. Now, if you see, this is where you click. When you click this, it just grows and then this settles down as the selected state. And then when you click on the selected state once again, it becomes slightly smaller and then settles down back into the off state. Now, these are the 4 states that we wanted. I'm going to select all of them and click on this drop down once again and create a component set. So here I have the component set once again. Let me give it a name. I'll call it hearts, right? Now we'll go to the prototype panel and quickly start doing prototype. Now here I will select the first one, which is default, and I will add an interaction. I need a click interaction here because I need the user to click on it. So once clicked, I want to change to transition on. Okay, so this is nothing but my transition on. So when I click on this, I want it to go to transition on. That is the transition that happens when I'm trying to switch on the heart. So here I will give it a smart animate and I will give it a duration of around 200 milliseconds. And this time I'm going to change the easing to ease in and out back. Now what ease in and out back does is it gives it a bit of a spring action, so which would be nice in this case. So I'm just going to select that. Now once the heart is in this state, the next state, it should automatically go and settle down because this is just a transition, right? Now Figma doesn't have anything which happens automatically. All that you can do is add a delay, that is automatically happen but after a delay, which is kind of auto. So I'm going to select this and add an interaction, and this time it's not going to be on click. I want it to happen automatically, but there is no auto here unlike ProtoPie. So we'll add after delay, right? We'll add after delay, and it's asking me how much of delay. Now it shouldn't be 800 milliseconds because I want a very small delay. Ideally I want it to happen instantly, but since there is no auto, I will add the smallest possible number, which is 1 millisecond, which is like almost 0 seconds. And after a delay of 1 millisecond, what do I want it to happen? I want it to change to the on default state, right? This is the on default, so it goes to on default. Again, I want the animation to be smart animate. And this time, since it automatically happens, I want it to be slightly shorter. I'll give 100 milliseconds this time and I'll hit enter. And for the animation, I will keep it ease out because it's just settling down out there, right? So we'll just close it. And now we are done with the selection or the turning on of the heart. Now we'll have to do the turn off as well. That is in this state. If someone clicks, it also needs to go back to the outline state, right? Let's go ahead and do that. I'll add an interaction on click. It should change to transition off. It should change to transition off. That is the transition that happens when I'm turning off the heart, which is nothing but the 4th state out here. And the animation will be smart animate. And for click, I'll add 200. Since it's a manual click, I'll give it a transition of around 200 milliseconds. And I will use ease in and back out. Again, that slight springy animation that I was talking about, right? That's it. We are done. I'll close it. And now for the final one, the 4th state, I need to bring it back to the 1st state because that's the off default, right? So this is just a transition state. For a moment it becomes small, then it should come and sit back into the original position of off, which is that. So here I need to add another auto transition. Since there is no auto, we are going to add a delay. So after delay, 1 millisecond, I need to change it to off default, which is nothing but back to the 1st stage. And the animation should be smart animate. Ease out is good enough. I'm going to make it 100 milliseconds, right? So simple. That's it. I think we are done. Now to test this out, I will just bring one instance out like this. And it's here. I'm going to keep it here and I will hit on the preview. There I have the heart. So if I go ahead and click it, you will see for a moment it grows up into that red big heart and then finally settles back to the default size while it is selected. Now in the selected state, if I go ahead and click it once again, it just goes smaller for a while with that smaller outlined one and then settles back to the default size, which is nothing but this one. So this is exactly what we had done. The 4 states are right here. All right, let's proceed to the next animation. So here we are with the 5th animation. This time we are going to make a loader, an infinitely spinning loader. For that, we'll need a circle. Let's go ahead and make that. So I will use the ellipse tool and create one small circle here. I'm not really measuring the size. Now, when I click on the circle, you will see another small dot appearing. Now, what it does is you can open up the circle like a pizza, right? I'm going to just open up a little bit like this, a little bit. And now when you click again, you will see there's another dot at the center. And now if you pull it like this, you will see that you're able to make a slice out of it like a concentric circle, right? So I'll find an appropriate width, something like this, and leave it like this, right? Now I'm going to give it any fill that I want. I can maybe make it blue or something. Yeah, I'll make it blue, right? And now I'm going to make it a group. So I'll select this and hit Command G out here. And I will make it a frame. Ideally, a group should also work, but I will just make it a frame like this. And here's my frame. The frame is also 152 by 152, just like the circle. And now I'm going to name this as state 1. So now we have the spinner, and let's go ahead and make 2 more states to it. So first, let's go ahead and make a state 2. And here we are going to spin that spinner in a particular direction. Now the way rotation works on Figma is it rotates from -180 to +180. That's the entire range of Figma and not beyond and above that, right? So one thing what I've seen is to make it spin like it's infinitely spinning, the difference between the angles of any 2 states cannot be 180. If it is exactly 180, what it does is it tends to take one particular direction, whatever it feels is suitable. And you end up getting a state which is like that washing machine where it rotates clockwise for one turn and then anti-clockwise for the other turn and so on. But we want a continuous one, right? So we can be either less than 180 or more than 180, but the difference between the angles cannot be 180, right? So that we will keep in mind, right? So here I am in state 1, and in state 2, I will rotate the ellipse, mind it, not the component itself. I will rotate just the ellipse, and I'm going to rotate it in this side, right? Now, if I rotate it this side, you will see that it's getting minus in the negative world, right? So ideally, I want -180, but I shouldn't put -180. First of all, I cannot put -180 because the moment I key in -180, it will take it as +180. So to do that, what I will do is I'll take -179. Again, not 180, but the difference should be less than 180 or more than 180. Since here it was 0, I'm putting -179, which is 1 degree less than 180. So this is my state 2, right? Now I'll make a copy of the state 2 to make a state 3. Again, now we'll again rotate this ellipse, but the difference between the angles of this and this cannot be 180. It should be either more than 180 or less than 180. That's the thing, right? Now this is at -179. I will keep rotating it in this angle. Now I cannot make it 0 because if I make it 0, it is going to be exactly this one. And it's not going to understand, it's again going to malfunction that way. So I need to put a very small angle which is almost similar to this. Now I cannot put 0 out here because if I put 0, it's going to be exactly same as the previous one, the first one, and it might again start malfunctioning because it'll assume some other direction which may not be in the direction that you wanted to rotate, right? So to ensure that it's exactly in that same rotation, I need to keep it in this territory, which is a plus certain and not 0, right? I can add a +1. But if I add a +1, this angle was -179. So -179 to +1 degree, it will be exactly 180, which we do not want. So I'll make it +2 degrees. I'll make it +2 degrees so that, now the difference is 181 degrees and not 180 degrees. Now I'll select all of them and click on this drop down and create a component set. Right? Now we'll go to the prototype menu, and here we will do things slightly differently. You will see it now. So first things first, this is a loader, so everything needs to be automatic. So what is the automatic equivalent in Figma? It is after a delay. So everything will happen after a delay, but there'll be some changes that we will do. So I'm going to click on this, and we can start it from here as well. I will click on this plus and bring it to the second one, and this one, it changed to, it's not on click, but it should be after a delay of 1 millisecond. Property change to state 2. Animation, I will use Smart Animate. Now here, let's use a slightly longer duration, say around 600 millisecond. And here, do not use any of these smoothing easing curves. We need to use linear because we want one continuous motion, and if you use any kind of easing, it'll feel like it's like a stepper. It'll just stop and keep rotating that way. So we need linear. So there, I'll go ahead and close it. We'll do the exact same thing for state 2 to state 3 as well. I'm going to click on this plus and click and drag here, and it's not going to be on click, but after a delay of 1 millisecond, so changes to state 3, smart animate linear 600 milliseconds. Okay, I'll close it. Now we'll also have to close the loop. Now in closing the loop, we will again do an auto animation or an after delay, but this time there won't be any animation. It will be an instant thing because this state and this state are meant to look exactly same. There is just a difference of 1 degree. Remember, this is 0 and this was 2 degrees. I have given a 2 degree value out here. So there will be a stutter, but it will not be perceivable because that 2 degree is very less. So that's the only way in which you can simulate as if it's having a continuous rotation. Okay, so in state 3, I'm going to add an interaction, and again it's going to be after delay 1 millisecond, change to state 1, and the animation should be instant. So it's going to rotate, spin, and come back almost to the actual state, but not exactly. And from here to here, it'll do an immediate hard cut jump so that when the whole thing is played again, it'll feel like it's one continuous infinite motion. All right, so I'll just create one instance of it here on the preview panel, one child of this entire component, and I will hit this preview button here. And we should, if everything goes well, we should see a continuous motion. Yeah, there it is. There you see, it is a continuous motion. It's going to keep spinning and spinning and spinning. At this stage, if you watch closely, you will see there is a slight bit of jump because it is jumping 2 degrees, but it won't be visible because 2 degrees is very less, so it is not perceivable. So yes, that's how you have an infinite spinner. Now let's come to the 6th animation. This one is also a progress bar, but not an infinite one. So it is a 3-step progress bar, and we also show a number at which stage it's in. Stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3. A linear progress bar. Let's go ahead and make it right away. All right, so here's my preview panel. First of all, I'll make the preview panel dark in this case because I want to make the progress bar as white. So here it is. First, we need the base of the progress bar. So I'm going to make one, let me make it on top of this so that it's visible what is seen here. So there, I'll give it a height of around maybe 6 pixels, and I'll fill it up with white. And I'll give it a corner radius of around 3 so that it just feels like a pill. So I'll need 2 of these instances. One is the base on which the progress bar will move and the real progress bar on top of it. So I'm going to call it base, and I'm going to make Command D right on top of it, and I will reduce the height of it. We'll see it later. Now this is going to be the actual progress. Now the base, I will reduce the opacity to around 10%. Yeah, something like this. So the base has reduced opacity 10%, and here we will put the number, that is state 1, state 2, or state 3. So for that, I'm going to use text layer and I'm going to call it 1, right? Of course, I will reduce the size of it. I'm using a Grande variable fonts. Feel free to use whichever font you want. I'm going to make it couple of text right after it, right? I'm going to add a couple of spaces and then add 2, and I'm going to add a few more spaces, then add 3, maybe, a little more space. Okay, so spaced out 1, 2, and 3 is what I have out here. Now I'm going to make a group for this one. So I'll hit Command G. Now it's a group. I'll convert it into a frame because I want to clip certain section. I want only one of these numbers to be visible at a particular time, right? So there I made a frame. Now I'll reduce the size of the frame and press and hold Command, and I will reduce the frame into something like this, where you have just enough space to show one number. And I'm going to center this number 1 in this frame. So if this is the frame, I kind of will center the number 1 here. And this is my digit panel. I'm going to keep it in the right side here like this. Okay, now we'll do a quick, measure of what it is. So it is roughly around 272, which is not divisible by 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it 273, which is divisible by 3, and hit enter. So this is the base, the full length of it. Now it is simple, right? So here I'm going to group these two and have it here. So the first one, this is going to be 1/3 of the width of this. So if this is 273, this should be 273 divided by 3, which is 91. So this is 91 when it is 1. Now I'm going to make one more copy of this. Now this one is going to move and I'm going to move it to the left and I'll bring 2. So you remember this frame that we had made. So now the 2 is at the center of it, and with this should also increase in width. So it should be 91 into 2 this time, which is 182. This is the second state of it. And now the next one is the state 3. Here, this will completely fill up the space, which is 273, which is nothing but 91 into 3. So 273, it's fully there. And instead of 2, I'll again move this thing to the right so as to bring 3 into the vision. Okay, there we have 3 states of it, right? Now I'm going to bring these out here, and maybe I will just darken this background a bit so that you see what is happening. There you go. So these are my 3 states. I'm going to call it state 1, state 2, and state 3. And I will select all of them, and as usual I'm going to click on this drop down and create a component set. So I have a component set out here, which is nothing but my stepper progress bar. And now I'll go to the prototype menu and I'm going to do some prototyping out here. Again, this is a progress bar, so no interaction, though manual interaction is not needed. So here, let us go ahead and add an interaction, not on click, but after a delay, right? Now in this case, I don't want it to be an instant one. Maybe after a while, it just moves from 1 to 2, then 2 to 3, then 3 to 4. So I'll add maybe, 1 second of delay, which is nothing but 1000 milliseconds, right? 1000 milliseconds. So after 1000 milliseconds, change to state 2. And the animation should be smart animate and ease out 300 millisecond. I will just leave the default. Okay. All right. I'll close it. Now we'll do the same thing for this one as well. I can click on this plus and drag it on this. So again, not on click, but after a delay. Again, I'm going to give 1000 milliseconds, which is nothing but 1 second. Change to state 3, smart animate, ease out 300 milliseconds. All right. So here, now 1, 2, 3, when it comes, what happens after that? Maybe, we can animate it back to the state 1. We can do that. So let me do it right away. Okay, it's not that, it goes to 3 and that comes back to 1. But for our sake, to make it a continuous one, I'm just going to do it for the heck of it, right? I'm going to bring it back to 1. So state smart animate, ease out 300 millisecond, not on click, but after a delay of 1000 milliseconds. That's it. We are done. So I'm going to bring one instance of it and put it on this, preview frame that we have out here. And now I'm going to hit this preview button and see what we have made. There we are. You see, it is just moving from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and then 3 to all the way back to 1. 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 all the way back to 1. So yes, this is what it is. Animation number 7. Now this time, let's go ahead and make a carousel card which can be swiped and changed. Okay, let's go ahead and do it. So we have our preview panel out here. We will create a component with 3 cards which can be dragged and changed to the next one, right? All right, let me go ahead and create cards. Okay, so ideally these cards could have images or anything at all, but right now for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to add some nice gradient to it and leave it that way. You can use images or whatever, right? I'll make a card roughly like this. I'm not really measuring things out here. Okay, so I'm just giving some corner radius. I will just make it corner smoothing to 100, and there's some default fill added to it. I'm gonna give it a nice shade of blue. Let's see, a light blue sort of thing. Yeah, something like this. And now I'm going to convert this into a gradient. A linear gradient is good enough, just that I'll not make it opacity. I'll bring the bottom part of it to slightly darker, and the top part can be slightly lighter so that I have this kind of a card. Okay, so this is good enough. Now I'm going to make 2 copies of this. I'm going to make 1 copy here and another copy here. So these 3 will be the cards which I'm going to scroll past one another, right? And now we'll change the color of it so that we know that we are swiping the cards and there is a difference between them. So the first one can remain blue. The second one, I'll make it into some shade of orange. There you go, this one as well. And the third one, I'm going to give it some shade of green. So I'm using these colors just so that, they are differentiated well enough so that we know that the cards have changed from one to another. Okay, not that I'm a big fan of these colors, but okay, I think this works for the demonstration. So here I have the 3 cards and we will put them out here, right? So for the sake of arranging the spacings and all, what I will do is I'm just going to use an auto layout here. Just for measurements, I will remove the auto layout later because auto layout can actually get annoying at times. So I'll select all three of them and hit Shift A on my keyboard, and it added an auto layout. The space between them right now is 26. I will reduce and increase it. Actually, this is the main reason why I've added an auto layout. So we'll see it this way. So this is kind of a mobile frame which is 360 pixels wide. So I'm going to add this one. I'm going to add a padding of 16 on each side like this, and I'm going to close it here, and I will make it a fixed width of 360 so that it fits exactly here. Now what I'll do is I will reduce the spacing between them to 16 again, so that there's a 16 left padding, left margin, and also between each of those cards there's a 16 padding that we have kept. Okay, all right, so I will now bring this whole thing out. So this is how it is. This is how my frame looks like. So this is, I'll call it state 1 again. All right, so this is my state 1. Now that we have done all the measurements of 16 and 16, I'm going to remove the auto layout. Yes, I'm going to remove the auto layout, and once I remove, this gets converted into a regular frame. Right? I use the auto layout just to do the math, which I didn't want to do it manually. So auto layout did the math for me perfectly. Now that I don't need it because I'll be moving around the cards, I removed the auto layout and converted it into a regular frame. This is my state 1. Now let me make a copy and call it state 2. Now state 2 is the stage when my second, that is the orange card, is in view. For that, I will select all these 3 cards. I'll just give it a slight background color here so that you see exactly what is happening. So I will move all these 3 cards. I've selected all these 3 cards and bring them here somewhere so that it's exactly at the center. And while it's at the center, I see the right edge of the blue card on the left and the left edge of the green card on the right, because it's important to have the queue of the next card, right? So that's how it is. This is my state 2. And now I'm going to make a state 3 as well. State 3 is nothing, again, when all my cards are moved, and I need a padding of 16 here. So I'm just pressing and holding Option and using my mouse pointer to measure the distance between the edge and the card. I see it is 17, which means I have to move all these cards by 1 more pixel. Yes, now it is 16. So I have all my 3 states ready. Now what I'll do is I will just select all 3 of these and click on clip content, because I don't need to see the things which are outside the view. You see, it's much more easily perceivable right now. And I will also remove the background color which I had added because I don't need it anymore, right? So state 1, state 2, state 3 is done. I will select all of them and again create a component set and go to the prototype panel. Now from this state to this state, I need to give it a drag interaction. So whenever there is a drag, it goes from this to this. So I'll click on this, and in this plus, I will release on the second one, and by default, it'll pick a click, but I will select on drag. Now on drag, it goes to state 2 and smart animate. I can give it an ease out, or let me try ease in and ease out actually, both sides, and 300 milliseconds is good enough. Done. I'll close it. Now from this to this also, I will do exactly the same thing. I'll click on this plus and release it here. Again, it's not on click, but on drag. It goes from state 2 to state 3, smart animate, ease in and ease out, and 300 milliseconds. Done. I have created the link between all of them. Now I'm not going to close this loop because from here, I don't really want it to come here. Or maybe we can. Let's go ahead and do it regardless, right? So here I'll add an interaction, and on drag, I will bring it change to state 1. Again, smart animate, ease out 300 milliseconds. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and see. I'll have one instance of this component added to this preview screen, and I will hit this preview button to see how it works. There we are. I drag, it goes to the next. I drag once again, it goes. Now if I drag, it comes back to the first, second, third, first, second, third. All right, so that's the 7th one. Now in this 8th animation, we are going to do something very cool. We are going to animate a background gradient that you can use on a website or anything, all within Figma, a continuously looping background gradient animation. Let's go ahead and do it, right? So we'll directly use the preview panel out here. And in this, I'm going to keep, actually I'll make a copy of the preview panel because I'll be using this preview panel for creating the component, and then we will test it out in the other one, right? So here, first of all, let me fill it up with a darker color, right? Let's fill it up with a darker color. Optional thing, but I wanted to give it a dark vibe, that's why. Let's create one big circle and fill it up with some shade of maybe pink. let's fill it up with some shade of pink. And now I'm going to give it a layer blur, a large number. I'll have to give it a large number. Let's try 500. 500. Yes, I think 500 is good enough. So this is one. And now I'm going to make, I can actually resize and do whatever I want with this. Now I'm going to make one more copy and I will bring it somewhere here. And I'm going to fill it up with a shade of purple. So I'm just being on the gradient line itself, and actually I can make these things slightly bigger. The size of these do not have to be consistent, so it's totally fine. And I'm going to make a third ellipse. I'm going to make a copy of that one. And for this one, I'm going to change the color to a shade of light blue like this, light blue, right? And I'm going to make a copy of this and bring it somewhere here. And I'm going to change the color to a shade of green. Yeah, maybe I will just keep it some shade of green like this. Okay. And now I'll also use a fifth one, which is nothing but a similar one. I'll make a copy of this. I'll make it even bigger. And I'm going to give it a white fill, and I will reduce the opacity of it to around maybe 20%. And I'll also try to reduce the blur to 400. And let's see, I'll make it slightly smaller. I'll make it slightly smaller like that, so that it just acts as a glow sort of thing here, right? So here are my states. I'm going to call it state 1. And I'll make a couple of states. You know, the more number of states you make, the more smoother your gradient would be. But I'm going to just make 4 states for the demonstration because, you know, it'll just work that way, right? So I'm going to make a copy of it here. And now we'll move around the things. Remember, this was the white one. So I'm going to make the green one. I'm going to bring it here. The blue one, I'm going to bring it somewhere at the center. The purple one, I'm going to bring it somewhere at the edge out here. And the pink one, somewhere at the top. And the white one that we had, I'm going to move it to the right side here. So this is my state 2. Now I'm going to make a copy of the state 2 once again, and again move around the gradient. So this time I'll bring the green towards the top maybe, and this blue towards the left, and this purple towards the bottom like this, and this pink one towards the left, and the white one I'll keep it at the bottom this time. So you see, I'm just moving around the things. I can also change the sizes of this if I want to. I'm just moving around the things within the frame itself so that it feels like it's an animation that is happening. In the next stage, I'm going to bring maybe the pink one to somewhere at the bottom, the green one to somewhere at the right, and the white one I'll just take it to the top again, the blue one again somewhere at the left, and this purple one somewhere on the left like this, right? So I'm just going to keep it like this. I'm going to add a 5th state as well because I think that will just make it a little better. So I'm just bringing it here, and the final state will be back to state 1, right? So my state 1 is where my pink one is at the top left. So before top left, I can add one more state where my pink one is at the bottom left, right? That's exactly what I'm going to do out here, right? So my ellipse 1 goes here. My ellipse 2, which is nothing but the purple one, goes to the top. So they're overlapping, so you're not able to see. The ellipse 3, which is the blue one, I will move it to the left, and the ellipse 4, which is the green one, I'll bring it to the bottom, something like this. And the final one, which is the ellipse 5, the white one, I'm going to bring it somewhere at the center like this, right? That is just a glow sort of thing. That's it. I think I'm done with all the states. Now I'm going to select all of them and click on this drop down and create a component set. And we will do the same thing that we have been doing so far. We'll go to the prototype tab and just connect them automatically. And the way to connect them automatically is by adding a delay. All right, so we'll select this one. I'll click on this plus and drag it to the next one. Not on click, but after a delay. Since I want it to be almost instantaneous, I'll add the minimum delay, which is 1 millisecond. Smart Animate, I'll make it linear, and I'll make it slightly slower. Maybe I'll make it around 600 milliseconds or maybe a second. Let's try 800 milliseconds. Okay, 800, and I'll hit enter, right? The same thing we'll do from here as well. Just that it's not click, but after a delay of 1 millisecond, rest of the thing is just going to carry, which is Smart Animate linear 800 milliseconds. We'll do the same thing here. After a delay 1 millisecond, state 4, Smart Animate linear 800. We'll do the same thing here again. After delay 1 millisecond, state 5, Smart Animate linear 800. And finally, we'll connect it back to the first stage, which is nothing but this one. Same thing. After delay 1 millisecond, Smart Animate Linear 800. That's it. I think we are done. And if everything is right, it should start working. So I'm going to bring out one instance of this component and put it in my preview panel here. Yeah. And I'm going to hit this preview button to see what we have made. There you see, we have an animating background gradient, which is nicely animating. You can tweak the colors, you can tweak the positions, you can add more states in between, and you can tweak the duration to get the output that you want. Now imagine putting anything on top of it. Imagine, it's your web page and you just want to put your name out here in very big fonts, something like this. Okay, this is too big, I guess. So 150. And now if you go to the preview panel, you will see, your text, your button, your image, whatever you want is present. Just the background is animating all within Figma. So now we are going to make something which is parallax. Now parallax is most fun when you can do something on scroll, but on Figma, unfortunately, you cannot do it on a scroll. You'll have to add a manual drag interaction to it, which is also fun, but that's why I'm not going to do a scroll parallax today, but a different kind of parallax which you can add to anything that you want. I'm going to add it to a text today, which is nothing but my name, and I'll be using the same color combination that I have used out here, right? So I'm just going to copy this one just to pick the colors. That's about it, right? So here I bring them here, and what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to fill this up with a darker color, maybe a dark gray like this, and then I'm going to write my name, this, and I'm going to make it really big, around 100, actually 200. Let's see. Oops, that's too big. Actually 200. Yes, so this is good enough, and I'm going to make it like thick, wide. There's a white black. Actually, I'll make it white heavy. I think this is good enough. Actually, I'll make it 160. Yeah, this size is good enough. I'll make it center aligned and it just stays out here, right? So here's what I will do. The reason why I picked this up is I will make multiple copies of it. And the first one, I wanted to have the same fill color as this. And I also wanted to have a stroke, right? Similar to what we had done for the button. Maybe 3 pixel stroke is good enough. So this is my topmost layer, right? So I'm going to just call it 1, and I'm going to make a copy of it, and the one at the bottom I'm going to change the color to the same shade of yellow, right? And now I'm going to make a copy once again and bring it to the bottom, and I will just reveal it so that I can fill in the color. I'm going to make it orange, and I'm going to make one more copy of it and we'll bring it down, and this time, since we don't have any more color, I'm going to give it a shade of maybe pink. I'll add one more as well. Let's call it 5th, and I'll bring it down again, and to this I will add a slight purple color like this. So if you see, I'm just going in this order, right? First it was yellow, orange, and then nothing was there, so I came to pink, and then now I'm at a purple. So this is what we have. 5 different versions of the text. Now that we have filled the color, I'm going to put them all in one row. They're right behind each other. And there I have the name. Now we'll make a slider at the bottom, a simple slider using which, we can, show the effects that we are trying to make. I'm going to make it like a perfect pill like this. I'm going to fill it up with white and then set the opacity of this to something very low, maybe 10% or so. And on top of it, I will use a runner. We'll use another circle and a slightly bigger one. This is going to be my runner. I'm going to fill it up with white, and let's give it a stroke since that's the style that I'm using everywhere. So this is going to be my runner, 3 pixels. I'll give it the same thing. All right. Now we will need 2 states of this. So this is my state 1. 2 states because these are the states between which I'm going to keep switching, right? So state 1. All right. So here, what we'll do is the first one we will not touch. I'm at state 1, by the way, when it is on the extreme left. Okay, when it is at the extreme left, here's what I want to do, right? I will select all of them, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and I'm going to give it some angle, right? So what angle will I give? I'll give it around 4 degrees to all of them. See, it's how it is rotated. Now I'm going to unselect the second one and give another 4 to the remaining one, that is making it 8, right? Now I'm going to unselect the third one and give it another 4. So if you see, I'm adding an offset of angle to all of them. And finally, the last one, which is the 5th one, I'm going to give it another 4, which is 16, right? Not just that, I'm also going to move all of them. So I'm not going to touch the first one, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. I'm going to bring them down by 8 pixels, then I'm going to unselect 2, bring them down by another 8 pixels, and I'm just going to do it for all of them like this. And now, not just down, I'm also going to take them to left, right? So 8 pixels to the left, unselect 2, another 8 pixels, another 8 pixels, another 8 pixels, right? Now I can decide how much I want. I can make it even more. Maybe 8 is what I have picked. You might choose to do 12, 16 or anything, right? So this is a nice little thing that I have made. Now what I'll do is I'll select all of them. This time I'm selecting number 1 also, and I'm going to bring it 8 pixels to the left, the whole thing, and 8 pixels to the down, right? So yeah, this is what I have done to this state 1. Now we'll do something similar to state 2, but in the opposite direction. So you're getting it, right? When you do the slider, you're going to see it fanning this side, and when you pull the slider to the other side, you will see it fanning on the other side, right? There we go ahead and do it again, right? So in the state 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, I will pick, and this time I'm going to give it a -4 degrees. Okay, -4 degrees. Unselect this one, another -4 degrees, -4. Unselect the third one, another -4, unselect the fourth one, and finally in the fifth one, -4, right? There I am. Now I'm going to do the side offset as well. I've selected all of them, bring it down by 8 pixels, unselect 8 pixels, unselect 8 pixels, unselect, right? Select all of them again, 8 pixels to the right, unselect 2, 8 pixels to the right, unselect 3, 8 pixels to the right, unselect 4, and 8 pixels to the right again. And now as the final touch, select all of them, and this time I'm going to take it up by 8 pixels and move it to the right by 8 pixels, right? That's it. We are done. And in the second stage, I will keep the slider on the other extreme end. All right, now we don't even have to create any component. We just go to the prototype stage. I don't need this button anymore. I will delete it. We go to the prototype stage. There we are. I'm going to select this and click on this plus and release on the second one. It's not on click, but on drag. Smart Animate is good enough. I'll give it some 500 milliseconds maybe, right? And let's give it maybe ease out. Ease out is good enough. I'm just going to click close. We'll do the exact same thing for this as well. For this runner, I'm going to add a plus and add an interaction back to the first one, which is not on click, but on drag. Smart Animate, ease out, 500 millisecond is good enough. That's it. Now we'll go ahead and just preview this and see if it is working as we expect it to. All right, so here if I drag it, oh, you see what is happening? Oh, it's trippy. You know, you can do a hell lot of things with this, right? Now I have just twisted it, but you could choose to do anything that you want, and it doesn't even have to be text. You can do it with images, shapes, or whatever. And you know, you can imagine if this entire drag slider that I have made is on a vertical plane like this, it might even feel like, you know, you're dragging and scrolling the page, and then you could do all the page scrolls as well. But like I said, I didn't want to do that because I just want to show you some fun thing that you can make, and so that you can learn from it and use it for your utility. So we are finally in number 10. So the number 10 is not really an animation, but we're going to create something on Figma, glass morphism. That is, how do you create something which looks like a glass, and then how can you use it on top of other animations so that the glass actually looks like a glass. So that's exactly what we are going to do here right now. Okay, so to start with, let us fill it up with some color. Actually, you know, not color. Let us fill it up with something that we have already made, which is nothing but this gradient, right? So I'm going to take this component of gradient, I'm just going to copy it, and I'm going to bring it here and paste it here, right? So this is my animating gradient, something that we have already made. So let's create one card, because if it's glass, then it has to be some sort of a card. I'm going to fill it up with white, give it some corner radius, right? And give it a corner smoothing. That's it. So I'm going to go to effects and background blur. So when you add a background blur, you see nothing has happened. When you click on this, you see that a background blur value of 4 is added, but you don't really get to see it. If you increase it, you still don't see it, because background blur works only when the fill opacity is reduced. Not the main opacity of the layer, but only the fill opacity. So it's 100% right now. So if I reduce it, you will start seeing something happening. And if you just reduce it further or increase it further, you'll actually see the effects out here. Now, if it's not perceivable to you right now, it's because nothing is moving in the background. All that you need to do is just have something else behind it and you will get to see how it would be. So if I keep something like this, and now if I go ahead and increase the background blur, you see how it is going to affect other things out there, right? So there we have a glass, but we're not going to end it out here. So we'll add a stroke to it, slight stroke, and we are going to call it white, and we'll reduce the opacity of the stroke to some 40% so that it just feels like some sort of a glass sheet. And we'll also add a bit of noise to it. So you can simply go ahead and download noise texture from the internet. You'll find way too many of these things. Just pick whichever you like. I think I'm just going to pick this one for the sake of explanation. So I'll just copy this and I will bring it here. So there is my noise texture. So all that I need to do is just group them together and Command G, and I'll make it into a frame so that it is only within the size of this one, because I don't want it to go beyond. So we'll size the frame exactly the size of our card. Yeah, that's how it is. And we'll bring the noise to the top, and we'll change the blending mode of this to maybe screen. Yeah, screen should work, I guess. And I will also reduce the opacity to around 30% so that you just have this slight thing. You can reduce this noise so that it exactly fits into it, so that it's just the right amount of thing. You can play around with this. I think 20% of it is good enough. Yeah, I think this is fine, and these edges are coming out. So all that I need to do here is just use the same rounded corner that I had used in the card as well, which is nothing but 40, and I will make this smoothing as well. So here we have the card. So there we go. We have the glass out here. And now if you go ahead and hit preview, you'll see that the gradient background, which is happening in the background, is actually visible under this. And you're also able to see this glass out here. Now you can go ahead and give some drop shadow to it as well, and make it, of course, a softer shadow, and reduce the opacity to around maybe 15%, and blur it to around 60 pixels. So that it feels like it's a floating card. So now if you go ahead and hit the preview, now you will actually see that something is moving behind this glass. Now if you want to see more of it, when does this glass work? When you actually need some sort of a texture. Let's just go ahead and see if there's any plant texture that is available. So if you find any plant texture, I'll just put this as an image behind, and then you'll be able to see what difference we are talking about. So I'm just going to copy this, and I'll make a copy of this entire thing. And in this preview, I'm going to put that plant texture here. Now if I put this glass on top of it, you will see that here also you get to see what it is. So imagine if you're building a website which is about plants or something, and you just want to put a glass, and on top of it you want to write some text. This is the way to do it. And you can also try to animate this a bit so that on top of the glass you get to see the things which are moving in the background. And there you have it, fellow designers. Our 10 easy UI Figma animations tutorial adventure comes to a close. Now I want you to take what you have learned today and apply it. Go open up Figma and start experimenting with different animations and designs. And don't forget to share your creations and seek feedback from other designers. I'll meet you in another video. If you found this tutorial valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, or hit that notification bell. It keeps you in the loop for more exciting tutorials and help our community grow stronger. Thank you for joining me today, and until next time, keep designing, keep creating. This is Saptar signing off.